Tonight, Saskatchewan seeing its first evacuations of the year due to northern fires. An alternate flight path proposed by former Canadian Forces snowbirds to keep the team flying. And public consultation for a proposed expansion of Wascana Parkway.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. We hope you enjoyed our special coverage of the Team Canada World Cup roster selection. Now for the news. Lee is away tonight. A major fire ban is now in effect across much of central and southern Saskatchewan as extreme fire danger continues to drive wildfire concerns province-wide. Connor Chan has the latest.
The fast-moving lobstick fire near Duck Lake has now triggered a major fire ban across central and southern Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency announcing the province-wide restriction this afternoon, citing what officials are calling extreme fire risk conditions. The ban covers all Crown land south of a series of northern highways stretching from Highway 55 at the Alberta border near Pierceland to Highway 106 at the Manitoba border near Creighton and Flin Flon. Most of the province is now under extreme fire danger. As of late Friday afternoon, more than 50 rural municipalities across Saskatchewan have fire bans in place, along with 6 active wildfires, including the Lobstick Fire and the Caford Fire north of Hudson Bay. Neither of those are currently contained. The Frobisher Fire north of Buffalo Narrows is classified as protecting values, which means the fire is active and crews are focused on protecting cabins and infrastructure in the area. 2 other fires are considered contained and another is under ongoing assessment. The Lobstick Fire now covers 13,000 hectares, has led to evacuations in the RM of Duck Lake, and has damaged 2 structures which officials say were outbuildings. Despite early speculation that the Lobstick Fire was human-caused, officials now say it's believed to have been started by lightning. Anyone who spots a wildfire can call 1-800-667-9660, 911, or their nearest SPSA Forest Protection Office. Connor Chan, CTV News, Regina.
Meanwhile, a major urban fire in Saskatoon has resulted in major damage to multiple homes, with firefighters from across the city being called in to prevent further destruction. Keenan Sorakan has more.
Catastrophic scenes from Geary Crescent as a fire tore through the street with families watching on as their homes burned to the ground.
Pretty shocked, pretty sad to see your house where you live, your family live, all of your belongings, and you have so much attachment just on fire. It's devastating.
Mohit Nair watched on as his home he's lived in since 2012 vanished in front of his eyes. It was one of 4 homes and 6 garages that quickly burned, with the first 911 call coming in just after noon. No one was harmed, with all residents of the homes and nearby homes safely evacuated. Deputy Fire Chief Sean Thody says it's been a long time since Saskatoon has seen a fire this destructive.
This is a devastating loss for these families. 4 houses, it's never a good thing. Our hearts go out to the families that have lost the properties and their homes.
32 firefighters were called to the scene, and an additional 16 moved in to assist the 8 trucks fighting the blaze that jumped across the street, damaging 3 more homes and briefly starting another one on fire. At one point, power boxes in the alley behind the homes were also seen sparking. As the fire department threw everything it could into the fight, Thody says Friday's conditions were ideal for something like this to happen.
Wind speeds being 30 kilometers an hour and above, temperatures being above 30 degrees Celsius, and the humidity, 30% relative humidity or below, and those are the perfect conditions for fire to breed.
Residents watching TV or doing yard work suddenly saw plumes of black smoke shoot to the sky, worried for neighbors who work night shifts as people inside the homes ran outside. With everything lost in the flames, Nair was worried about where his family will sleep and how this will impact them.
My son, he's still at school, so he doesn't know anything about that, and I have to go pick him up and break the news to him.
The fire department says 4 homes and 6 garages are complete losses, with 2 homes next to them taking extreme damage. No cause has been found yet, with heat and carbon monoxide making it unsafe for investigators to access the homes. As questions emerge about how this could happen, residents are first trying to wrap their heads around the devastation they witnessed here today. Keenan Sorakan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
As this heat continues, Regina's Central Library branch is closed for the weekend on account of a broken air conditioner. The library closed this afternoon with no AC, leaving staff unable to control the temperature inside. Library officials say the building was too warm to operate safely as a result. A contractor was called in, parts have been ordered, and there are plans to reopen as soon as possible, with additional plans to reassess the situation on Monday to see if it's cool enough to reopen, even if it's with shorter hours. The library plans to share updates on social media. Nearly 24 heat records were shattered in Saskatchewan yesterday, 23 of them to be exact. The hottest spot in the province was the Nipawin area at 37.5 degrees Celsius. Assiniboia, Moose Jaw, Weyburn, Yorkton and more were all areas that also set new records yesterday. Most of those record-breaking temperatures were in the early to mid-30s. You can see a full list of temperatures and communities online at ctvnews.ca/Regina. And Sabine Ahmed joins us now for our first look at weather conditions in Regina and southern Saskatchewan. Sabine, Regina, one of the few areas, it seems like, that didn't break a heat record yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it still felt hot. I think we got to about 35 degrees and a very warm day in most of the province. You're seeing behind me on the radar satellite, still seeing a lot of heat warnings, though we're starting to see a little bit of the shaded yellow. Those are severe thunderstorm watches. Regina not under that watch, but Moose Jaw certainly is, and most of the southwest could experience the development of thunderstorms, bringing with it some very high winds, up to 90 kilometers an hour, quarter-size hail, and possibly some heavy rain in the area. Now, that is just a watch, no warnings just yet. However, we will start to see more of that precipitation making its way into the southwest, specifically heading into tomorrow. I'll have more details coming up, but if we take a look even at our current temperatures right now, very, very warm temperatures. The average for this time of year, about 21 degrees. We warmed up to 30, but as the weekend approaches, we should start getting back into the 20s starting tomorrow. But I'll have details in your full forecast. Cole?
Well, Premier Scott Moe believes a new trade deal with India would have major benefits for Saskatchewan despite lingering tariffs. The Premier made the comment during a Regina summit on Canada-India trade today. Wayne Mantika has more.
It was an important summit between the Premier and India trade representatives. There was talk about improving relationships between the two countries.
You know, we've had some starts and some stops, but it very much seems like this is the moment where we're actually going to get a trade deal, and a comprehensive trade deal, which will be a huge boon to businesses in terms of injecting confidence and momentum between the two countries.
Last year, India imposed a 30% levy on all imported yellow peas and a 10% duty on lentils. Half of those imports come from Canada. A new trade deal between Canada and India is possible this year, even if the tariff issue isn't fully resolved.
Whether they're in the actual trade deal or not, it would be preferable if they are. However, it's not a showstopper if they're not.
The Premier also gave attention to free trade with the U.S. and Mexico as CUSMA negotiations are about to begin. He held a meeting with undisclosed business leaders to discuss issues that need to be pursued.
Anyone that wants to participate, we encourage them to participate. We'll have in-person, virtual options. And what we're really looking for is a collection of, thoughts and ideas, really on how do we protect the investment and the wealth that's being generated today in industries.
Saskatchewan won't be directly involved in CUSMA talks. Those are handled by the federal government, although the province's input will be a consideration. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Amnesty International Canada has announced it will make verbal arguments before the Supreme Court in the Saskatchewan school pronoun law case. Premier Moe says his government is working to ensure information about kids is shared with their parents.
That's fine. I mean, they're an international organization. They're, I suppose, okay to, or it's within their realm to intervene in this case, as others will on both sides. However, at the end of the day, we're going to ensure as a province and in our provincial education system that schools are going to communicate with parents about, multiple different topics with respect to their children that are the students at those schools.
The policy prevents children under 16 years of age from changing their names or pronouns at school without parental consent. There are 22 organizations who have been granted intervener status in the case so far. A date for the Supreme Court hearing has not been set. The Snowbirds Alumni Association has launched a campaign to keep the team in the air and push beyond a planned pause. Alumni say the only way to ensure the survivability of the Snowbirds is to keep the team flying with their CT-114 Tudor jets past the end of the 2026 season. Instead of grounding the jets as currently planned, the group wants to see the Tudor fleet in the air until 2030, including by using fewer aircraft. The alumni say it would help ensure a smoother transition to the new planes when the time comes. The City of Regina is asking for public feedback on its potential Wascana Parkway extension. The proposal would see the roadway connected from near Saskatchewan Polytechnic to Prince of Wales Drive in the city's southeast. But the project carries some controversy. Jacob Carr has more.
The City of Regina has opened up an online survey to get residents' thoughts on the proposed Wascana Parkway extension project.
If they're interested in the project, to take the survey and participate that way. This won't be the end of the engagement, as the project develops. If the project is found to be feasible or not feasible, community engagement is important to us.
But according to the Wascana View Action Group, a collection of citizens in the area, the city's survey is misleading and leaves out key information pertaining to their current feasibility study, namely the extension largely increasing traffic near Harilock School and potentially destroying protected land in the McKell-Wascana Conservation Park.
They don't speak to the real issues, and that is very concerning because the survey is slanted to get the answer they want, i.e. build a road.
Huntington says the group is very concerned with what he calls an extremely narrowly focused study that the city is conducting.
Because we see the city wanting to build a road, and yet they're still trying to find the problem. And they're trying to tunnel vision this thing to say that the road has to happen when they haven't done the proper research.
The Wascana View Action Group has been firm with the city that extending Wascana Parkway through the McKell-Wascana Conservation Park is not an option. However, the city remains adamant that they explore all avenues.
Assessing the feasibility of a project is always warranted, right? This is a major investment for our taxpayers. It will require a lot of, it would require, if found to be feasible, it would require assembling land.
While the City of Regina pushes on with the feasibility study, the Wascana View Action Group says they are more determined than ever to oppose said study, calling it a waste of time and money. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Whether it's classical, rock, or anything else, performing with others is always a fun time. For more than 25 years, a Regina program has been making sure everyone, no matter the experience, is able to try making music in a band setting. Mick Favel brings us that story.
Side by side, a band based on inclusivity is rehearsing for their next performance. The longtime Regina outfit brings members together to explore music, create a sense of belonging, and a unique sound. Those in the band say it's been a life-changing experience and an opportunity to enjoy music with others.
It felt pretty cool. When I heard there was an opportunity, I said, let's go take it. It helped me work on my confidence after I retired from band and choir.
Originally known as the Best Buddies Blues Band, the group was formed for high school students more than 20 years ago. Chris Hamilton is the director and says no matter the circumstances, there is a place for everyone in the band.
Accept people for who they are and what they have to offer. Don't focus on their disability, but focus on their abilities, because everyone has them. It's just finding a way to let their little light shine.
Side by Side plays 3-chord-based songs, an arrangement used in some of the world's most catchiest music, and a system perfect for beginners. Kobe Nargang sings vocals in the band, performing a classic made famous by Elvis Presley. Nargang has been a part of the band for over a decade and says it's been a fun and positive time.
The whole family and friend atmosphere is one of the greatest experiences in the world, especially if you're a shy or introverted person who's been bullied or, picked on or something. These people are they're so encouraging.
Hamilton says music has been a significant part of his life, and inclusion is a key to happiness.
Everyone sort of gets it. that once you're included and accepted for what talents you can bring, go ahead, shake something, hit something, sing something, and you're part of the band, you're included, and it's pure joy.
Side by Side will be taking some time off, but will regroup in the fall with some big plans, including a new recording. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
After the break, a guilty plea for a man who was accused of selling deadly substances online to people at risk of self-harm. And Alberta considers the wording of a referendum question that could open the door to a separation vote. An Ontario man at the heart of an international investigation accused of selling deadly substances online to people at risk of self-harm, some of them going on to take their own lives, has pleaded guilty to 14 charges of aiding and abetting suicide. That means the murder charges against Kenneth Law have been withdrawn. CTV's John Woodward has the latest.
Yeah, today is heavy, for sure.
Heavy for Kim Prosser, the mother of Ashton Prosser Blake, who was headed to university in Toronto before he died by suicide at 19 years old.
I carry forward his legacy in my heart and my soul. And
Prosser, among dozens of families coming to Newmarket Courthouse to hear the guilty plea of Kenneth Law, who arrived in an OPP transport truck as media from around the world watched. Law was a trained engineer and former chef at an upscale Toronto hotel, but he also had a side business selling a meat preservative that in high doses is deadly, a product he marketed under a pseudonym on websites aimed at suicidal people. CTV News has tracked 150 deaths around the world tied to those products, the youngest just 16 years old. Court heard his income from the sales neared $300,000 using sales and payment platforms of Shopify and PayPal. The most recent death in January.
Para prevenir más muertes.
The father of an 18-year-old who died, Yesenia Bedoya Lopez, said he hopes the judge sends a message to stop anyone considering selling the product. Thanks to his guilty pleas, Law avoids a murder conviction and won't do life in prison. It emerged that British authorities won't charge him there either. Some of these suicide websites marketed Law's products as a painless way to die, but the facts read out in court show that that is not true. Some of the people called 911 complaining of pain and vomiting, wishing that they had not taken the substance and didn't want to die, but by the time they had consumed the product, it was too late.
I walk with him in my heart in everything that I do. My passion, my drive, my everything is walking with my son.
Prosser is not pushing for a stiff sentence, just hoping that the trauma Law's actions caused can stop. John Woodward, CTV News.
The Alberta government has issued an order in council determining the wording of the referendum question on separation that will be on the ballot October 19th. Voters will be asked if Alberta should remain a province of Canada or whether the government of Alberta should commence the legal process required under the Canadian Constitution to hold a binding provincial referendum on whether Alberta should separate from Canada. The order also makes it clear that this particular referendum is not to be binding and that mail-in ballots will not be allowed. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, having just returned from meetings in Alberta this week, says he remains optimistic on Western provinces rebuilding a better relationship with the federal government.
Those very frustrations that have built over the last 10 years, those are very real in other parts of the nation. I'd say they're very real here as well. However, and the point I tried to make throughout this meeting was there are some changes that are being made today by the current Prime Minister. They may not be fast enough, or they might not be far enough, and I'll be the first to say they're not exactly what I would like to see, but they're far better than what we have seen over the last decade, and we need to, in the Canadian way, work together with him and other provinces to try to get our province into a position where we can continue the economic success that we are seeing here today.
Has previously defended Alberta's right to hold a referendum vote, saying Alberta is following the law in exploring the process. Saskatchewan has similar plebiscite legislation, and Moe has said that if the criteria for an initiative question was met, his government would also follow the law. China's Foreign Affairs Minister is in Ottawa today, beginning a 3-day visit that includes meetings with Prime Minister Mark Carney and the Foreign Affairs Minister. CTV's Abigail Biman now with more.
China's foreign minister welcomed by the Prime Minister as well as his Canadian counterpart Anita Anand. Wang Yi spoke of record-high engagement with Anand and a relationship between the two nations that has turned around, now growing and improving with major economic and trade concerns, as he says, properly addressed.
We are committed to growing this relationship responsibly with a goal of increasing exports to China by 50% by 2030, while safeguarding Canada's economic and national security interests and values.
There would need to be some clarity about what are those guardrails, what kind of investment from China is welcome, in what sectors, and where we would actually continue to hold the red line.
The opposition leader asked if he believed Mark Carney would raise issues of human rights abuses.
Of course not. He won't do anything to make Beijing unhappy.
A former Canadian diplomat in Beijing who has met Wang Yi more than once over the decades believes human rights will be discussed and that China is likely to raise Taiwan.
We do have to reflect our values in these discussions. And from my experience, particularly behind closed doors, it's possible, necessary in my view, to speak frankly to Chinese leaders about our own concerns. And I guarantee you they will speak frankly about theirs.
The Prime Minister heads back to China for the second time later this year for the APEC summit, while this visit by the Foreign Minister could set the stage for a visit to Canada by China's President Xi. China watchers say to look towards the end of this year when the president already has plans to visit the United States. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
More than 50,000 Canada Post workers have until tomorrow to vote on whether or not to accept a new 5-year contract. The labor unrest has dragged on for more than 2 years, with workers taking to the picket lines several times over a lack of progress. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers has asked its members to turn down the latest offer. A tentative deal was reached late last year, which included wage increases. Canada Post says it's lost over $5 billion since 2018 and will eventually be ending most door-to-door delivery. A rocket belonging to billionaire Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin space technology company exploded during a test in Florida last night. The company says its New Glenn rocket blew up during an engine firing test being conducted ahead of a satellite launch planned for next week. No injuries have been reported, according to officials at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The New Glenn rocket was previously grounded after it left a satellite in the wrong orbit due to engine failure. Still ahead, your full forecast, plus hundreds brave the heat to meet a WWE superstar. We take you inside a rare public meet and greet for the Beast, Brock Lesnar.
Sweet sport with a sour name. Monday on your morning, we're sending Janelle over to try her hand at pickleball as it continues to explode in popularity here.
Welcome back. We're going to take a look at what your forecast is expected to look like heading into the weekend. And I guess right now where we're at, 29 degrees is pretty much what we can expect heading into the weekend. 29, but the relative humidity is actually starting to climb. So over the last few days, it's been sitting at about 30% or less. Now we're starting to see it climb into about 45 to 55%, that range. So this 29 degrees is actually feeling like 33. Winds currently sitting over 40 kilometers an hour, gusting up to about 65 kilometers an hour. So the winds are still out there along with these warm temperatures. But as we head into tomorrow, that's where we should start to experience some of these messages, these alerts regarding the heat to slowly lift. We're expecting to see those temperatures get into the 20s. However, again, with the humidity and the heat, we're still expecting to see some of these watches and warnings due to the severe thunderstorm development sticking around. So much of Southwest seeing those severe thunderstorm watches in effect. We now, it looks like, have started to see some warnings pop in just north of the Saskatoon area, northwest of Saskatoon. So severe thunderstorm watches, warnings may continue throughout the weekend. The risk is still there through most of southern Saskatchewan as well, because a lot of the system, the rain is coming up from the south. Alberta, is seeing some special weather statements where they could see up to about 90 millimeters of rain. So there's a lot of rain headed more so to the west of us. But as for what's to come, this is what we're looking at heading into this evening. So you can see there's quite a few storm cells in the southwest there. Swift Current, Assiniboia could see some, but as we continue into the rest of tonight, much of that will continue moving either north or start to break up. So Regina, Yorkton could be in the clear when it comes to any of the storms or storm activity tonight. But again, you can see more rain arriving into the southeast as we head into tomorrow morning. Temperatures remaining to be quite above the average. The average daytime high I mentioned earlier is about 21 degrees. Tomorrow, the expected high is about 28 in the Regina area. But again, we're going to continue to see the relative humidity be high as well. So that's where we see conditions favorable for storm development, mostly along western Saskatchewan, Lloydminster, even down in the southwest. Maple Creek, Swift Current could see the most of the rainfall, and then you can see a lot of that heading into Alberta. Well, they will see the heaviest of rainfall, but heading into Sunday, we're going to continue to see more of this activity. Sunday night, more arriving from the southeast through the Estevan area. This one we may see making its way into the Regina area later Sunday night into Monday morning. And really Monday, we're going to continue to see some rainfall throughout the day. So by tomorrow morning, this is what we're looking at. Swift Current could see up to 7 millimeters of rain, 3 for Assiniboia, 1 for Moose Jaw. Further up there, Prince Albert could see up to 5 millimeters. But continuing throughout into Sunday morning, that's where we see the numbers climb. Swift Current close to 20, close to 5 for Maple Creek, 5 for Assiniboia. Nothing for Regina until we continue throughout Sunday, where we could start to see trace amounts there. Up to 45 millimeters expected by Monday afternoon for Swift Current, over 10 for Maple Creek and Kindersley. So the rain is expected to continue to start your week as well. Temperatures, though, tomorrow still quite warm. 30 for Prince Albert, mostly cloudy. 29 for Saskatoon with a risk of thunderstorms. 26 and cloudy for Yorkton. The southwest back into the 20s, close to seasonal range. Maple Creek 22, 25 for Swift Current, 27 for Moose Jaw, and the southeast back into the mid-20s as well. For Regina tonight, 18, winds gusting to 60. Tomorrow, 28. Again, with the humidity, though, feeling closer to 31 degrees. By Sunday, winds up to 55. We'll start to see more rain Sunday night, expecting a high of 25. 21 degrees is what we're expecting as we head into the start of next week. So we're back into that seasonal range. A risk of some showers Monday, but by the time we get into the rest of the week, I want to say smooth sailing, cloudier conditions, winds still within that 50-kilometer-an-hour range, but the temperatures back into seasonal until we get into next Friday, mainly sunny and 27 degrees. So this weekend is the last of the very warm temperatures and possibly some of that sticky humidity until we get back into seasonal range next week, Cole.
Sabine, I'm very happy to be seeing some of those low temperatures getting back into the teens and even 11. That's going to be fantastic. I don't mind the heat, but just it's nice to take a little break when the sun goes down, you know.
You're not wrong. The lows have been quite warm, so I'm sure many are looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Sabine.
You bet.
Well, it was almost as surprising as his return to WWE at SummerSlam last year when a meet and greet with pro wrestling superstar and former UFC fighter Brock Lesnar was advertised by a Regina area Home Hardware. Outside of the ring or the octagon, Lesnar, not famous for making public appearances, but he was all smiles to meet hundreds of fans yesterday who braved a long line in scorching temperatures. Damian Smith has that story.
Everybody in? Thumbs up, guys.
The Beast is here promoting his new product, Brock's Smoking Bullets. Longtime pro wrestler star Brock Lesnar holding a rare public meet and greet in Emerald Park on Thursday.
I was like, there's no way this is real.
Hundreds of fans braving the heat, lining up around the corner of Emerald Park Home Hardware.
I did not expect him to come and do like a meet and greet in like somewhere small like Saskatchewan.
I got my Brock Lesnar figure and I got my shirt.
Home Hardware's minimum estimate is around 800 fans lining up to meet the Beast incarnate, some of them traveling from far and wide. Wrestling fans Zorgale Bellino and Matt Murrin traveled from Portland, Oregon after finding out about the event on Facebook.
And at first we thought, is this real? Because it's so unusual. It's like, we need to verify this. Okay, it's good. Can we go? We'll make it work. Let's go.
Look at the man. Look at the man. And he doesn't do a lot of public appearances, like at all.
Meanwhile, Regina area fans making changes to their schedules, taking kids out of school early. One fan even looking to get a tattoo of Lester's autograph.
When I first went up there, I was pretty shocked. My exact first words were, "You're massive," but he took that really kindly.
As soon as I went up to him, he grabbed my hand and we did a bro hug and the whole works.
Lesnar was born and raised in South Dakota, but has spent the past decade living outside of the village of Merrifield, Saskatchewan. When he's not competing in the ring, he's typically found on his farm, out of the public spotlight.
The legend of Brock Lesnar has always been that he's not a people person and likes to have his own space, and he likes to distance himself from society. I think people, started to catch on that he's now living in the middle of nowhere, Saskatchewan, so he can distance himself from the rest of the world, and there's no better place to do it than there.
According to Emerald Park Home Hardware, since October, around 50% of their smoking pellet sales have been Brock's smoking bullets, a sure sign that Suplex City might be in Saskatchewan. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
After the break, which quarterback steps up as the Riders' main backup for the season? It's a lingering question on the final day of training camp.
Here's a look at what's happening in our community. Collectible Show is happening on May 30th at 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Northgate Mall, located at 489 Albert Street. For more information, you can email sportsworld@sastal.net. And Crocus Art and Artisan Sale is happening May 30th to 31st at 10 a.m. at the Pilot Butte Arena, located at 222 Diamond Place in Pilot Butte. For more information, head to pilotbuttearts.ca. Submit your event to our community by visiting our website, ctvregina.ca, and click Community Calendar or scan the QR code on your screen.
On-field activities for this year's Saskatchewan Rough Rider training camp now wrapping up. The coaching staff now has to go through the grueling task of setting the team's final roster for the season ahead.
There's debate, and there should be. If there's never any debate, then that means, that we didn't have good players. Like what I know that we did, bring a bunch of good guys that are pushing, multiple positions and multiple spots on the roster.
Mace joking players like Trevor Harris and Roland Milligan Jr. can expect to have roster spots secured, but a number of positions do still have question marks. One of those is who is quarterback number 2? Donovan Mace attempts to find out that answer.
Winnipeg brings pressure. Harris sees it, but he throws it complete. Johnson to the 40.
Turning 40 on Sunday and now entering his 14th CFL season, Trevor Harris hasn't missed a beat.
Trying to evaluate myself every year. I feel like I'm in as good a place as I've ever been at this point in the season.
His QB1 spot is all but locked up. Tommy Stevens is getting ready for another season of short yardage, but a battle brews between Jack Cohn and Braden Shager to be the backup.
I had a lot of growth throughout camp, made some mistakes, but I feel like I learned a lot.
This was the initial goal, to try to put myself in a position to, be able to make the team.
4 different quarterbacks who each bring their own flavor to the field.
Jack's been here for 2 years. This is his 3rd season. He's gotten better every single day. He works really hard. He puts in all the time. He operates the offense and understands why the offense and what the plays are.
Shager, he's a firecracker. Live arm, super competitive. So yeah, man, they're all different. They all have a bunch of positives that you admire.
Cohn back to pass, has a man, has a touchdown!
Cohn spending much of last season 4th on the depth chart behind Jake Mayer, hopeful to take the next step.
No matter who it is, old guy or young guy, you can learn something from everyone. Braden might be the way he just lets the ball rip and seeing okay, he tried that throw, maybe I could try that throw.
But after arriving in Saskatchewan last September,
back to pass, looks, end zone,
Shager making an early impression this preseason.
That's something that really gave me a head start coming into the camps on the other rookies, just as far as having a good grasp of the playbook, having some connections with the receivers and the guys on the team.
Both catching the eye of their starter.
That's the hallmark of what great quarterbacks are going to do, the great competitors are going to do, is take advantage of every rep. And so if you're not in, take advantage of the mental rep behind.
Saskatchewan did hold 4 quarterbacks on their roster last season and seem poised to do it again this year, but Mace and Mueller keeping their cards close to their chest as if they would indeed follow through with that plan. Teams have until midnight Saturday to finalize their rosters. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
WCBL opening night last night as the defending champion Regina Red Sox opened their season on the road in Medicine Hat.
By at the plate. Here it comes. This one's going to be poked off. And a long way to go for Chan. He loses it and he drops it. The Red Sox are going to score.
Regina down to their final 2 outs, down 6 runs, coming all the way back to beat the Mavericks in regulation 8-6. Elsewhere, the Moose Jaw Miller Express winning 6-4 in Swift Current. Saskatoon taking down Weyburn in a blowout game 13-3. The Berries and Beavers back in action tonight, playing in Cardiff for the Rural Roots Classic. Regina and Moose Jaw renewing their rivalry at Ross Wells Park, and the 57s are in Lethbridge. Coming up, Wascana Centre encouraging people to branch out and make Regina a little greener by planting trees.
Let's take a look at your rural forecast. Heading into the weekend, we're going to start to see those temperatures get a little cooler, if you will. I use that term loosely. We're still going to see above seasonal temperatures, just not necessarily in the 30s. However, with the humidity, it will still feel like we're sitting in the low 30s. 29 degrees, mostly cloudy for Melfort, 29 and a risk of thunderstorm for Watrous, 28 for Hudson Bay, and 28 for Outlook with a risk of thunderstorms. Cloudy in the west, Lloydminster, Kindersley, 24 degrees, 26 mostly cloudy for Meadow Lake, and Spiritwood 27 with a risk of thunderstorms as well. Closer to the southern border, same story. Cloudier in the southwest though, clouds, and 22 for Maple Creek, 20 for East End Cypress, 23 for Leader, Rosetown, a risk of thunderstorms, 26 degrees there, 28 for Lumsden and Pilot Butte, Kenora 26 and cloudy, 24, I guess cloudy in the southeast too, 24 and cloudy for Broadview, Carlisle 23 and cloudy, and then Cornack and Rockland, a risk of thunderstorm, 23 degrees is the expected high. And when we take a closer look at Buchanan, where internet speeds up to 1 gig are available through SaskTel. 29 is the expected high, feeling closer to about 32 degrees tomorrow. Mostly a mix of sun and cloud. However, later in the afternoon, there is a slight risk of an isolated thunderstorm in the afternoon. Other than that, we're seeing winds up to 45 kilometers an hour.
Well, one way to beat the heat is to post up under a nice tree with some shade, and Wascana Centre is encouraging people to plant and care for more trees. They were giving out hundreds of free trees to anyone who wanted some today. The 2 species given away were Velosa lilac and Scots pine. The Velosa lilac trees produce flowers that are not only beautiful to look at, but can also attract pollinators like bees. The Scots pine makes for a durable windbreak for strong prairie winds, which makes them a very popular choice for farmers as well as people with acreages or lakefront property.
You come to this area and you see lots of trees, and then you go further east and then there's less and less trees, and out at the lake where we are, we're just starting up and we have no trees, so we're trying to start from the beginning, and it takes time and investment. And so yeah, we super love trees. We're not tree huggers, but we do love trees and know the importance of them.
Every one of the thousands of trees in Wascana Centre was hand-planted. The urban forest is continually monitored for overall health of the tree canopy cover. The Regina Early Learning Centre is rolling out a new bike path right inside its playground. The bike path was made possible through the Cal Tire Replay Fund, which provides grants for community infrastructure projects using recycled rubber products. The new path is designed to encourage active play while helping kids build confidence and cycling skills in a safe environment.
It kind of stops at the far side of our building, and that allows the kids to kind of get a lot more activity going all the way through the whole yard. And it's a nice soft rubber surface, so safe for the little ones to learn how to ride a bike.
A total of 907 kilograms of recycled rubber was used to build the path. Since its launch in 2019, Cal's Replay Fund has repurposed more than 900 tons of recycled rubber for different community projects. Taking a look at your farm markets, canola's street price was down about $12. That erases some gains from yesterday to around the $719 per ton mark. Futures price at $760.90 per ton. As for amber durum wheat, that's staying steady at $285 per ton, slightly lower for red spring wheat at $284. Into feed barley, consistent at the $250 mark. Same goes for flax, no movement at $630. As for your money markets, TSX up about 251 points today. The Dow Jones up 363 points. The Canadian dollar was down slightly to 72.50 cents US. As for your commodities, gold was up just about $45 to the $4,500 mark. Looking at West Texas Intermediate crude, down slightly to $87 a barrel. Western Canadian Select down to $71 a barrel. Gas prices per liter are on a downward trend. Most common price you'll see in Regina is $1.69.9. Coming up tonight on CTV, we have Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. We have W5 on at 8 o'clock, Boston Blue at 9, Big Bang Theory at 10, E-Talk at 10:30, then, of course, National News at 11, and Connor Chan for you at 11:30. Well, the 2026 Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign set a record for funds raised in Regina.
That's right. Today, the First Steps Wellness Center in Sophia House received checks totaling $233,000. It represents all the proceeds from Smile Cookies sold during the last week of April. Regina customers purchased over 116,000 cookies to support local charities.
So we helped out 2 great organizations here in Regina, and 100% of the proceeds went to them. So people of Regina stepped up, and we were able to sell a record amount.
Nationally, the 2026 Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign raised a record-breaking $23.2 million for 700 charities across Canada and the United States. At least a chunk of that was from our newsroom.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had like a revolving door of Smile Cookies.
It's like anybody who goes to Tim's during this window will just pick up a case. You gotta. Well, there's a cat at the Moose Jaw Humane Society that's earning some recognition for his resemblance to a Toronto Blue Jays pitcher.
Yeah, so this is Max Scherzer, and available adoptable at the Humane Society. Now, the feline earning the name because he has heterochromia?
You nailed it, yeah.
Yes.
That's
just like his namesake and major league star. Scherzer, the pitcher, famously has a brown left eye and his right eye is blue. Meanwhile, Max Scherzer, the cat, is in search of a forever family. Moose Jaw Humane Society says he is one of a kind. He's a sweet, curious boy who enjoys keeping an eye on everything happening around him, with both eyes, of course. You can learn more about Max on the Moose Jaw Humane Society's website. Okay, that's cute.
He kind of has the same stare that Max Scherzer does, like right when he's about to leave the bullpen and go up to the mound, because he's got a bit of a rep. Like his nickname is Mad Max, being like he's the guy who mutters to himself while he's pitching and stuff. Yeah. He might be my favorite Blue Jay. Mad Cole. We don't need to do that. It's Friday.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Enjoy your weekend.